headed off before it crashed into the World Trade Center. As we've told you, there are now three airplanes that have crashed into major landmarks in our country, 2 into the World Trade Center, 1 into the Pentagon. Again, there's a fire on the Washington Mall. We don't know at this time if the fire was caused by another plane or it was set by somebody on the ground. We're also closing New York City, and federal investigators are in a high terrorist alert. There's a no-fly zone over all of Manhattan. All the bridges and tunnels are closed. The subways in lower Manhattan have been closed, and there are other evacuations expected as this story develops. Lisa and Michael, back to you.
Okay, Marcia, you're recapping very well for us. So all of this happened unbelievably. It's starting right before 9 a.m. Mr. Bush is down in Sarasota, Florida, and he called this an apparent terrorist attack before the Pentagon was hit.
Talk about that a little bit more in just a moment. In the meantime, Rose Walia, one of our reporters, joining us now from what we believe is very near the scene. Rose?
Well, Michael, right now there is bedlam here at Bellevue Hospital. They're expecting many, many patients. So far, 2 have arrived here. It seemed that the injuries were minor. I was inside the hospital just a short time ago, and alarms were going off. Right now, they're on external disaster, a very high alert at this hospital. Everybody gearing up for this disaster. And here on the FDR, continuously there are sirens just whizzing by, police cars, fire department, and ambulances. And here, right across the street, we can see the plume of smoke coming from lower Manhattan. Certainly very visible here. They're expecting, as I said, many, many patients. Could be thousands of patients, hundreds of patients. As I had mentioned, administrators scrambling for additional staff right now. It's crazy inside of the emergency room. Everybody's standing outside of the emergency room doors, waiting in anticipation for ambulances to arrive here. We'll have much more for you later on today. We're live at Bellevue Hospital. Rose Walia, CBS 2, back to you.
Okay, Rose, we want to know where we were. We didn't hear you. So we're still efforting John Slattery. Marcella Palmer also on her way down there, trying to set up and give us the latest details. We're going to check back with Rose in just a few moments. The FAA has shut down all aircraft takeoffs across the nation because of this. We just were told that, according to the Associated Press. The FAA has shut down all aircraft takeoffs across the country, nationwide, because of 2 airplanes hitting World Trade Center Tower number 1 and number 2, as well as the Pentagon being hit by an airplane some 12 minutes ago.
On the subject of the Pentagon, John Hatcher joining us now from Washington. John, we understand you had some of a view of what had happened. What did you see?
Well, about 9:30 or so, I heard a rumble that shook the windows in my apartment. So I went into my mom's room and I looked out the window, and I could see this huge plume of smoke going straight up into the sky. So I started freaking because of the World Trade Center.
And did you see, and then you saw the Pentagon?
Well, yeah, and then I saw on television that possibly a helipad at the Pentagon had been blown up. And the plume of smoke now stretches from the Pentagon southward towards on the Shirley Highway, which is, I live right next to the Shirley Highway in Arlington, Virginia.
All right, John, thanks very much. John Hatcher, a witness there near the Pentagon fire where the plane had struck there not too long ago. Right now, let's go turn our attention back to New York City and our own John Slattery, who's got an update for us. John? John, are you there?
Fine, I got it.
Go ahead.
Just tell me when, Jim.
Go ahead. We hear the alarms, obviously. It's going to be going on.
All right, I'm at the corner of West Street and Murray, and it's organized chaos here right now. We've got police who have been evacuating people from the World Financial Center, which is just across West Street from the World Trade Center. And as you can see, let's spin around here for just a second. What we've had here are thousands of people. Let's keep going around. We've had thousands of people who have been evacuated from various buildings around here. And what we heard about 20 minutes ago from a man who identified himself as a member of the White House advance staff, he came up to me and he said that he'd heard that a 3rd plane was coming in. Now, shortly after that, a police captain came up to me and urged us to get out of the area. We were about 2 blocks closer. He also said that their word from Washington was that a 3rd plane was coming in. Whether or not that is going to materialize, we don't have any word right now. But with that, what happened was everyone who'd been evacuated from the World Financial Center across the street and who were merely outside the building across the street were then moved about 2 blocks farther away. And in just about the last 5 or 10 minutes, all of the people, thousands of people who were gathered around me right here, were moved back at least another half a block. The police are trying to get a handle on just the crowd control here. And meanwhile, what we saw, if we can look up at the building, you've undoubtedly already seen this as well, but a number of people were apparently jumping from windows. We saw at least 5 or 6. One man told me that he knew of about 10, but an FBI agent confirmed 5, and then with a few minutes after that, we saw a 6th person jump out. So we're unsure as to how many fatalities might be involved in this, but in looking at the people who were standing there absolutely horrified to watch this, many people started screaming, many people started crying, there were people hugging each other, and every time they saw a person jump to his death, there were people who were just grabbing hold of each other and sobbing and wiping their faces and wiping their tears. It's an unbelievable scene here. If we can look around behind us, we've got, sir, could you please move a little? We've got a helicopter taking off over there, and what we were told was that this field was being set up as a medevac location. There are at least, scores and scores of, now this one's coming in to a closer vantage point. We've had scores and scores of ambulances in the area here. That helicopter is in fact taking off. He was just circling around to get a better angle of attack on his takeoff. As far as the fire control, we have no idea as to what that situation is, but debris continues to rain down from up above. And as of about 5 minutes ago, we were still seeing fire on some of the floors of World Trade. Now, I saw the second plane hit. I did not see the first plane hit, but the second plane was an unmarked silver fuselage. It appeared to be twin engine. I couldn't tell if it was prop or jet, and it took a slight bank and went right into the side of World Trade 2. And having had the first one go in, the second one obviously appeared to be a suicide flight. So the only thing that we can assume here is that they were both suicide flights going in. And as I said before, there's unconfirmed word that even a third plane was on its way here. The disposition of that, we don't know. Now, the studio, I can't hear you right now, but let me go back to you.
John Slattery, thanks very much. He's over at West Street and Murray,
Lower Manhattan,
giving us our first account of things from ground level. Let's go back to the newsroom now. Marcia Kramer following the developments from that vantage point. Marcia?
Well, we're now getting some picture of the breadth of this national catastrophe. First of all, the White House was evacuated, the entire White House, after the Secret Service received a credible threat, I repeat, a credible threat of a terrorist act against the presidential mansion and residence. But that's not the only building that's been evacuated. We now can report that the State Department, the Capitol, and the Treasury buildings are also being evacuated. And believe it or not, in Los Angeles, they are on a tactical alert, and they are starting to evacuate key buildings in that part of the country as well. So now we have a terrorist alert that goes from the East Coast to the West Coast. Here in New York, we have the terrorist alert because the World Trade Center, both towers were hit by planes. In Washington, a terrorist alert because the Pentagon was hit by a plane and there's a fire on the Washington Mall. And LA has a tactical alert where they are beginning to evacuate buildings. And then there is also another decision by the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration. No planes are going to be allowed to take off from any airport in this entire country. All planes, no planes will be taking off today. They have made a decision to stop all air traffic control, all air traffic.
Marcia, we got to interrupt you. We just saw live from Chopper 2 yet another explosion. Did anybody, Janine, what did you see? You saw, was it an airplane or was it a?
It looked like part of the building, if not most of the top, collapsed, and all the debris from the building was falling down towards the ground.
Look at the smoke. Look at the smoke. This is
the whole building. Did it collapse?
Do we have Jim Smith available on microphone from Chopper 2 as he takes these pictures? Jim?
Yes, I am here, Michael.
Jim, tell us what's happening out there.
Oh my
We just
gosh.
witnessed some kind of secondary follow-up explosion on the World Trade Center number 2, the one that is on the south, that is difficult to make out through the debris and smoke, but it does appear that a portion, the top portion of the building, has collapsed down to the streets below.
Oh my gosh.
Unbelievable what we have seen here. The debris and smoke just covering the entire portion of lower Manhattan.
Oh my gosh.
Jim, we know this is terribly difficult for everybody. We're asking that you please stay with us, hold your shot, stay with us on audio. We should tell people our crews have been running from that scene, as have everybody, and the entire area has been under an evacuation for some time. And just moments ago, you saw it here live from Chopper 2, a horrific scene as one of the towers there appears to have collapsed from what had happened earlier. A quick chronology as you continue to look live. Just before 9 o'clock this morning, word of a plane crash into Tower 1 that had been confirmed, a 757 hijacked out of Boston was the first impact. 18 minutes later, a second plane impacted Tower 2. Not long after that,
Videotape of that second crash.
Not long after this second impact that you will see here on tape, happening 18 minutes after the first impact,
and then
was the fire at the Pentagon.
Right, about 9:30 this morning.
Also confirmed,
And this is the
at
collapse.
least
We're
from the
showing you,
Associated
this is the
Press.
collapse, ladies and gentlemen, on videotape. The collapse that just happened. Unbelievable.
Let's go to Marcia Kramer now in the newsroom as she watches what you're seeing at home right now. Marcia?
Well, the real concern right now for New York City emergency rescue squads is to get people on the ground away from that scene as soon as possible. If you live in the area, if you live in Battery Park City or any of the other housing developments in that area, you should leave the area. You should evacuate the area and get away from the scene. Right now, what police have to determine is whether that explosion was caused from the initial impact of the plane or whether it was something that was exploded on the ground. Generally speaking, for a building to collapse in on itself like that, it would seem to indicate, obviously this is just early speculation, but it would seem to indicate that there could have been an explosion, a bomb planted on the ground that would make the building collapse within itself. But nevertheless, a collapse did happen, and they need to get as many people away from the scene as possible. If you live in the area, if you live in Battery Park City, the best thing that you can do for yourself to keep yourself safe is to leave the area as fast as possible. The important thing now is for people, emergency service people, all the firemen, the policemen, the EMS technicians to be able to get to the scene and to help as many people as possible, people who are still alive and people who possibly could be evacuated from the other World Trade Center building that's next door. They want to minimize the amount of loss of life as much as possible. Again, I can also tell you that the entire nation is on a terrorist alert right now. FBI offices all across the country are on alert. Washington, pretty much all of Washington has been evacuated. The White House, the State Department, the Capitol building, and the Treasury have been evacuated. Here in New York, the UN and the Stock Exchange have been evacuated. And in Los Angeles, it's on tactical alert. They are evacuating buildings in Los Angeles as well, mostly high glass structures. And the FAA has ordered all airplanes, all airports across the country to close down. There will be no more air traffic because they do not want to allow any more planes to strike a target in our country. That's all for now. Back to you, Lisa and Michael.
All right, Marcia, we've been told that, of course, parents are concerned because there are some schools down there. There are 3 high schools that are down there. We've been told that the students are still inside and they are safe. Of the 3 high schools, we're trying to get the names of those high schools for you in that lower Manhattan area, but we're told that the students are safe, that they've been kept inside, and they are obviously being hunkered down as far as this is concerned. It's going to be very difficult, though, Michael, for anyone to try to find their way out because of all the incredible amount of smoke on the ground, much less trying to breathe through that as they try to make their way out. Again, stay away from the area. All the bridges and tunnels are closed coming into the city. This is an unbelievable scene. I don't think anybody ever could have imagined something as horrific as what we're seeing right now.
It continues to get worse, and joining us, Kyle Beard, who's an eyewitness, joining us now on the phone. Kyle?
Yes, hi.
What did you just witness that collapse?
My neighbor and I did, yes, but I saw this second plane. I saw it coming in from the harbor, and it was United, and it looked like it was maybe a 757, a 767, one of the mid-range commuter planes. Mm-hmm. And it came in low. It was just over the river, just over the tops of the buildings, and then it made a deliberate turn right into the World Trade Center. And now we were just looking at my neighbors downstairs, that we saw just smoke, this huge amount of smoke when the building collapsed.
Sure, that's what we're seeing now.
And it's been over. I'm in the Carroll Gardens section of Brooklyn, and it's been like snow over here. There's just been pieces of charred paper, whole pieces of paper, shattered pieces of paper, but I did see the second plane. It came in very, very fast from the harbor, and it was going along the East River, and I thought, my God, it's going to brush the Brooklyn Bridge. Mm-hmm. And then it got just at the World Trade Center and turned, just the wing just bent, how do you call that? Dipped, yeah. It just dipped and went right into the building. But it was United, definitely, because it was the two shades of gray with a red stripe along the middle.
Okay, so you're saying United Airlines.
Kyle, we appreciate your insight, though we should reiterate to folks we do not have confirmation on that second plane. We do know that the first one was a 757.
You got to take in this picture, though, Michael. If you look live from Chopper 2, all of Lower Manhattan billowing in smoke, in white and gray and black smoke, the entire Lower Manhattan covered in what is a catastrophe of enormous magnitude, something that you and I never would imagine we would see in our lifetime.
Just moments ago, one of the towers collapsing on top of itself. Marcia Kramer with more now from the newsroom. Marcia?
Well, we now have a report that when that tower collapsed, it may have collapsed on another building, and that building is now either on fire or they're evacuating people from that building as well. So there's a third building involved in the World Trade Center area, which was hit by the debris and the steel and whatever else was coming out of the building from World Trade Center 1. Now we want to tell parents that the students that are in the 3 high schools in the area, one of them is Stuyvesant High School, are safe right now, but parents who want to come pick up their children can come and pick up their children and get them home. Now, to give you some sense of how broad this is, I can tell you that in Chicago officials have now evacuated the Sears Tower. So now we have evacuations running from New York to Washington to Chicago to LA. Again, all airports are closed. Also, the New Jersey State Police have now opened an emergency command center of their own in New Jersey to try to assist New York in trying to deal with this incredible, incredible tragedy. Now, for parents of students who go to schools in the area, there are, in addition to Stuyvesant High School, which is a high school for gifted kids, there are also 2 elementary schools that are in the Battery Park City houses. The children are said to be safe at the present time, but school officials are saying that if parents want to go to school and take their kids away from there, they are welcome to do so. Again, though, those children are safe at the present time. That's all we have for now, Michael, and Lisa, back to you.
There's also daycare centers on Wall Street, I know for sure, because my stepdaughter used to go to a daycare center right on Wall Street, and you got to worry about those small kids as well as the children at the elementary schools, but the word we're getting is that they're safe and they're being kept in school. But again, parents can come down and get their children if they so desire, which is completely understandable as you look at this scene. New York City, as you see from our breaking news bulletin, is on full terrorist alert. Planes have crashed into the building. The latest incident just happened a few minutes ago, right at 10 o'clock, where the top of the World Trade Center number 2 building, I believe, is that right, Michael? Or number 1 building. Number 1 building was the building that was hit by the bombing in '93. But the building has collapsed, and according to Marshall, we understand that it collapsed onto another building down below.
Nearby, fires raging. Rose Walia at the scene near Bellevue Hospital with an update. Rose, what can you tell us?
Well, a lot of ambulances coming in and out of here at Bellevue Hospital, and they're expecting many more patients now that one of the towers has collapsed. You can see here on the FDR, they have actually shut it down to normal traffic. They're only allowing emergency vehicles through to Lower Manhattan at this point. And we understand right now administrators scrambling to find additional personnel. Right now, cell phones and the phones inside of the hospital are down, so they're having trouble communicating with their internal staff and to find doctors and nurses to come in and deal with this unbelievable situation. Here they are on external disaster, a very high alert at this hospital, but they're doing their best. Hospital administrators waiting outside, doctors and nurses waiting outside of this hospital, waiting for these patients to come here and get the best help as possible. Certainly a tragic situation. A lot of people here feeling very, very depressed and sad at the fact that a New York landmark has been destroyed in such a way. We're live at Bellevue Hospital. Rose Wally at CBS 2, back to you.
Okay, Rose, and the entire city in gridlock. Everybody's in a state of shock. New York City, an entire state of shock.
Again, just a reminder, if you're joining us now, you're looking at live pictures from Chopper 2 at the remaining tower, World Trade Center tower, that's still standing. The second tower there had collapsed just moments ago. Marcia Kramer still in the newsroom as we take a look at both the live picture and tape of the scene just after just as that second tower collapsed.
That's on the left side of your screen.
Marcia, you have an update for us?
Well, yes. Now, a source is telling the Associated Press that the second plane that hit World Trade Center 2 may actually have been flying out of Newark Airport, which would have enabled it to get there very quickly and would have accounted for only the 18-minute gap between the crash into the World Trade Center 1 and the crash into World Trade Center 2. Again, we had the first plane that came out of Boston. It was apparently hijacked out of Boston, came and hit World Trade Center 1, and apparently now a source is telling the Associated Press that the plane that hit World Trade Center 2 had flown out of Newark Airport. The State Emergency Management Office is actually also being evacuated, and now state and local officials are trying to clamp down on exactly what their security plan is. For obvious reasons, they don't want to telegraph their moves to any terrorists that may be on the ground listening and trying to cause further upset to both New York, Washington, or any place else around the country.
We're looking at, thank you, Marcia. We're looking at a live picture on the right side of your screen. On the left side, in case you missed it, the second plane that went into World Trade Center Tower number 2. That's a replay of a tape on the left side of your screen.
Let's bring in a guest on our studio, Michael Hirschman. He is the president of Decision Strategies, an international security and counterterrorism firm. Michael, what can you tell us that has not already been said from what we've seen?
Well, we know very little at this point about who's responsible for this tragedy. A lot of speculation, obviously, going on. It has the markings of a Middle East act of terrorism.
And why do you say that?
Well, often in the Middle East, when there's a bombing, a suicide bombing or a car bombing, you'll find a second bomb going off when the emergency response crews respond to cause maximum injury and damage. This is our worst case scenario. This is something that has been talked about in the security industry over the years. This is something that has been planned for in terms of response, but it's still hard to imagine. And dealing with a tragedy of this magnitude, both from an investigative standpoint and from a response standpoint, is going to be virtually impossible.
Clearly, you can only do so much to prevent something like this, and as you had mentioned, a lot of the effort is put into response. What, aside from getting all your emergency personnel to the scene, can you possibly do as we look at it still unfolding live in front of you? The only remaining World Trade Center tower still standing. The second one has collapsed not too long ago. What can you do aside from just getting your emergency crews to a scene?
Well, there are two things going on right now. One is this is a crime scene, and the FBI obviously is in charge of the crime scene investigation as well as the police. That probably is not taking precedence at the moment over the rescue efforts. But nonetheless, they're there, they're collecting whatever information they can. And right now, you can imagine all of our intelligence agencies, both domestic and overseas, are tapping every source imaginable to try to find out who might be responsible. I just want to say that don't be surprised if no one claims credit. We're sitting here and asking ourselves who's responsible and who have we heard from. You may recall we've had other incidents in this country and other incidents around the world where no one claims credit.
because the damage has been done and they're satisfied with that. They don't find it necessary to claim credit, I guess.
Michael, stay with us if you would. We want to go back to Marcia Kramer, who's in the newsroom, for a further update. Marcia?
Well, we have a number of updates. Number one, CNN is now reporting that there was a third explosion at the World Trade Center, probably an explosion from the ground that caused World Trade Center 1 to collapse on top of itself. Again, there was a third explosion. It's unclear what caused it, whether it was a bomb or whether the first plane that crashed into the tower had somehow been booby-trapped with a bomb that was timed to explode later after the crash had occurred. But CNN is reporting that there was a third explosion that caused World Trade Center 1 to collapse within itself and then collapse on other surrounding buildings. But you know, it's interesting here to reflect about the timing of this, what appears to be a terrorist attack. It comes just a few weeks before there was supposed to be a major world gathering of Jewish leaders on the 23rd of September that was supposed to be bringing in people from all around the country and around the world to voice support for Israel in its battles with the Palestinians. In fact, all of the Israeli leaders were expected to attend, and it was expected to try to send a message to the United Nations, which has its opening session at that time, that Israel needed support. Also, there is another event the week after that. The United Monetary Fund is going to be meeting in Washington, and that was also expected to draw protesters from all around the world. In fact, so many protesters that Washington police officials had started building walls around various Washington monuments in an attempt to protect the monuments, Capitol buildings, and others from a possibility that there could be disruption. Now, I also want to tell you that President Bush is now saying he is launching a full-scale investigation to hunt down these terrorists. President Bush launching a full-scale investigation to hunt down these terrorists. I guess President Bush is no longer equivocating about whether or not the United States is under terrorist attack. Lisa, Michael, back to you.
Right, and we want to point out that the president was not in Washington, D.C. this morning. He was in Sarasota, Florida, talking to school children when this happened, so he was completely safe. Governor Pataki, we understand, is in the city, and Mayor Giuliani is also here, of course, and he was preparing to speak earlier this morning, but of course that was prior to all of the secondary blasts. And
Marcia? Sorry to interrupt you, Lisa. Marcia, we understand you have another update.
Unfortunately, I do. CNN is now, believe it or not, reporting an explosion on Capitol Hill. Fortunately, the explosion happened after Capitol Police had started to evacuate the Capitol. We don't know if any of the senators or representatives were still in the building when the explosion happened, but there is another explosion. That makes 2 explosions and a fire in Washington. An explosion at the Pentagon that we've confirmed was caused by a plane. An explosion at the Capitol, we don't know what caused it, and a fire on the Washington Mall, we don't know what caused that. But the fact that there have been so many attacks would seem to indicate that there are people on the ground as well as in the air that are helping to set off and to participate in this terrorist event.
Are you able to hear me? If you could you please reiterate the information you had regarding the schools in the lower Manhattan area?
Well, what we're told is that there are 3 schools in the lower Manhattan area. There is Stuyvesant High School, which is a high school for gifted students, and there are 2 elementary schools that are also in that area. They're in the Batteries Park City complex. What we're told right now is that the kids are safe. The kids are in the classrooms, but parents who want to go and take their kids home are going to be permitted to do so. That's as of right now. I don't know what they're going to find when they get to the scene.
All air traffic shut down nationwide. And for those of you just joining us, as you continue to look live at the only standing tower remaining of the World Trade Centers, the second had collapsed not too long ago. Both have been hit by planes. We understand it was a third explosion, however, that brought the tower to collapse. On top of what we understand are other buildings in the area. No word right now on the extent of the casualties, but clearly they are substantial. What you're looking at the left side of your screen there was the tower as it did collapse on tape. The picture on the right, live at the scene right now, smoke billowing through all travel in and out of the city right now, frozen solid. And I understand, Lisa, that
we're going to go to Whitney Casey, one of our CBS2 reporters. Whitney Casey is at St. Vincent's Hospital, one of the first hospitals to receive injuries. Whitney, what can you tell us?
I'm out here at St. Vincent's, and we've got a doctor right here. He is just called in. Initially, you said that there were hundreds of doctors that have called in. You said now you're really worried about all of the smoke inhalation. That's going to be a big problem with the second building going down.
Right. Well, basically, even with the first building, that most of the damage is people inhaling smoke and, smoke inhalation problems, getting oxygen, obviously, to their body. I'm one of the orthopedic doctors, so it's been kind of only 1 or 2 patients have come in so far. But I think the biggest problem is evacuating people from the scene and bringing them into the hospital.
And we're expecting a chopper about right here with some of the injured?
Yeah, that's what we hear. Apparently the roads are very